Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming and joining us this afternoon. We'll make sure it's a great and fun one because it's really nice. It's really not nice outside. By the way, my name is Miriam Job, and I'm the founder of Africa Sickle Cell Support Foundation, and also the owner of the Jaye Company, a sustainable baby brand, making sure that we get rid of all the trash outside of these our nice communities. And I'm here today with Danika, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you indeed for braving the storm outside. My name is Dr. Danika Tynes, and I'm participating this year, second time in Music Tech. I not only appreciate the conversation because it's a conversation in movement, it's a real time conversation, hot off the presses. Everything being talked about in music tech is being experienced by those in the industries. And so I find it really relevant, and I appreciate Jean Marie so much for inviting me to participate in this conversation and contribute from a global lens because music is very much part of what I do. As a tech geek, music has not always found its way into my life as a priority in terms of career. However, having left Silicon Valley a couple years ago, and now I'm teaching as a professor at USC and also Morehouse School of Medicine. Um, just along that journey, I have now started a foundation. It's called the Sustainable Access Foundation. And what access means to me is opening a door where otherwise it's been closed. Access has been very important in my journey as a woman, as a black woman, as a neurodivergent black woman. And so access has been very important to me. And so in the world, I invest in early stage entrepreneurs who are looking for their access point. And in that journey, I thought I was going to be doing a lot of cool technology and innovation. And what I found instead was community and very much rooted in music. And so it's become a very important part of my journey. And so I encounter this conversation all the time in communities in East Africa. And so I'm very, very, very happy to be here so I can represent those hidden voices, those invisible voices who are now participating in music on a global stage as a result of technology.
Thank you very much, Dr. Danika. And here I have some really good questions for you to keep us engaged. And I'm sure you're ready to give us some amazing answers because I have a lot to learn. I've been learning since I got here this morning a lot of things that I've never known about when it comes to AI. And I'm sure a lot of us still have questions to ask. So, Ms. Dr. Danika, how do you see AI transforming the music industry, in particular for underrepresented communities?
I want to state up front two things. Number one, I'm a huge advocate and I'm very outspoken about the digital divide. And so, just up front, I just want to observe that technology needs to be accessible to us all. There goes that access word again. It needs to be accessible to us all so that we can have an equitable playing field and access to the same types of information so that we can compete equitably. With that said, I love AI. I love it. And I use it all the time. Probably once a week, I'll play with a new AI tool. And then the ones that I like to play with, I actually introduce to the change makers I work with in Africa if it is applicable to their specific need. And so the change makers I have fortune to work with are social impact entrepreneurs. And while many communities that they represent and serve do not necessarily have computers or smartphones typically the community will at least have some access point to those things, and it's to that access point where we're able to kind of have a hub and spoke model where we'll teach kind of the hub how to utilize these tools and how to apply to their specific community need, and then they distribute out the benefits of that information that they've then received. So I think that I think where AI is heading. However, I'm gonna maybe state something controversial. You said make it fun. It is raining. Maybe controversial, but there are some topics that are fleeting. Diversity, equity, and inclusion became very popular during COVID, as it should be, but it's this like separate kind of thing, and now the energy around DEI has worn off. I personally would recommend that if anybody is now laid off of those DEI jobs, I would encourage you to get involved in artificial intelligence. My greatest concern with AI, besides the digital divide and it widening and people not having access to compete with others, is how the AI is being trained. So because I do a new tool kind of every week and I play around with it, I see what comes back. One of my favorite new ones is in video. I love that you can just like put in a few words and it'll create a fabulous video. But what comes out is really racist. Like, it's really racist, you know? And so I would love to reroute the energy and make it part of how we live. So rather than making DEI, inclusion, diversity, equity a separate conversation, the reason why we had to make it a separate conversation is because we had to educate. Okay, so now that that kind of education and the luster and the shiny topic has kind of died down, how do we actually use DEI? How do we use that platform, that awareness, that education, that push? How do we use it now in the artificial intelligence model so that AI is beneficial to all of us? Because right now, the way it stands, it's not trained. And so I would love to reroute as much energy towards more diverse professionals being engaged in training the technology. And that means, because AI is training itself every day, more diverse people need to start using the tools, entering the types of prompts that are diverse in nature, and not necessarily geared towards one group of people, or not a majority group of people. And I mean majority of those who have access to the technology in the first place. And so I think that divide, and then making equity, inclusion, diversity separate from AI, those are two of the biggest weaknesses I see. But otherwise, I feel like the train is out the station, and we need to figure out in the creative community how to incorporate. I don't know. I'm not worried about the creatives. I feel like they're going to figure it out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And while you talked about the creative sector, I would like to ask a quick question, Dr. Danika. Do you think AI is here to replace us as humans? Because this is a question a lot of people who are not very familiar with AI believe, because a lot of young creative individuals depend on, especially with their finances of, their income through their creativity. So now, because of AI, and we as individuals or entrepreneurs are able to use AI to generate, contents for our social media, like videos, ads, and we're not going through these creative minds to help us do these works. Do you think AI is actually replacing them, or there's a gap between them? Humans, in a sense, because we had this chat during the quick break that we had downstairs.
Yeah, replacing humans. I don't know that I understand that concern. Um, okay, so let's pretend that that's possible, that AI could replace humans. Um, let's say no more jobs need to be done by humans. Wouldn't humans just get more creative? And I think that's the challenge. And so I'm not sure how much legs that conversation has. I think it's fear of change. I think that's reaching for how do we not change by throwing up. That's kind of like that conversation about immigration. Like people get, come here or we go there. It's like we're not going to have any jobs. That's not the case. Like unemployment's still low. We have no evidence, zero evidence that jobs disappear just because there's new resources available.
Thank you. And with AI, what are possible collaborations to exist in between? Because when we talk about working together as teams, we're talking about building, a community. So how do we, as humans, collaborate or partner with AI when it comes to the creative industry?
So, like I said, I think now working with creative entrepreneurs, I'm almost more excited about the collaborative opportunity that AI provides. But I think why that's a really brilliant question is because just in general, the world is moving towards more of an individualistic perspective and culture. And it saddens me because I even see that in collectivistic cultures. They too are doing that. I can see AI in a nuanced way, in a very antisocial way, enabling us to spend more time alone because now we're more efficient. Like I told you about InVideo AI. I don't work for them, I promise. I'm not selling them, but they're just so much fun. And I can sit there and make 5 new videos in a day by myself when that was not available to me before. Like I would have, not in my lifetime would I think I would sit down and make a video. But now I have access to this and I'm gonna sit in my house all day long and make videos. That's a pretty antisocial day, right? I mean, I had a ball. I'm coming out with content so I can push out to, guess who, community. And yet I never interacted with them on a human level, just through my content. And I think we're in danger of maybe using all technology to replace our need to be humans with one another. And I think fundamentally that's just something we have to watch for, especially with our younger generations. I think a lot of people are working remote now. I would encourage young people to go actually to their workplace. If they're creatives, go work around more creatives. When you get older, like myself, it's like you're cranky, you want to be by yourself, but at least you have all the social tools and the experiences. I can't imagine what young people have to go through feeling so isolated right now. So I think from maybe a mental health and a collectivistic wellness perspective, that technology in general and the pace at which it's going as a result of AI there's a concern there to be watched. And I think each of us individually need to take responsibility for our humanness and maybe, some days put down the AI and just get out and commune. So yeah, I think that, but as far as creatives go, what I know about creatives, this is about to be gangbusters for creatives. Every time y'all get a new tool is you take it to the next level. And so I was just scrolling through Instagram earlier and, I saw another new tool that I had to hurry up and jot down, like, oh, let me check this out. But it was something random, like you can see what you look like with tattoos, or change your hair, right? And so creatives are going to start cranking out all these different new tools where you can start imagining yourself with a different hairdo, or what would I look like if I had a tattoo before I can actually get it. And so I feel like creatives are about to take this thing to a whole nother level. I'd actually be, matter of fact, we can go there, is with all the change and what's going on in the world, and I think you all know what that means. I think everybody feels it. I don't think I have to explain it. But with all the change that's going on in the world, I think it's really, really important that that we find our anchor in our collective. But it's creatives who are the best prepared for the change that's happening, because they're more adept in their feminine energy. That's the creative energy. I'm not talking about gender right now. I'm just talking about energy. They're more adept at their creativity and being able to go with chaos, being able to navigate with unsurety. And that's our world now, where things just feel kind of chaotic. And and we have elections coming up. And I think creatives are honestly in the best position to thrive in this time. And so I'm now investing in more creatives, because I honestly think that they're in the best position to take us from where we are, anchored in that creative energy, that chaotic energy that's going to get us to the next level. I think what we've been doing, the logic, the corporate, we're not going to be able to be agile and responsive if we keep running off of that masculine energy. Right now, I think it's creatives that are going to be taking us into the unknown, and that's who I'm going to trust. So music. And last thing I'll say on this question, because I thought it was such a good question. I went to Tanzania earlier this year with a video team and a creative artist from Uganda who was named last year like best hip hop of all time in Uganda. And in Tanzania, we went to interview the Tanzania hip hop artists. And why did we do this? Because of what I just said, that feeling of discomfort that we're all feeling. There's wars, there's climate change. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. We don't know what's going on with politics. It's like, things are just off the rails, right? So all we can do is just do the best we can. We went to Tanzania because in our minds, we thought, here's the thing. What can change the world? And no one person can change the world. It's like, what collective can change the world? Like, how do we change the world? How do we change this feeling? How do we change this thing where we're just like, something's not right, And so we just started asking questions of these creative artists. And what they came back with was right, so first of all, who can change the world? You got politicians, and are they going to change the world for the better? Who knows? And then you have, after politicians, who else can change the world? Scientists? You think people listen to scientists? Nobody listened to Fauci. Lawyers? You think lawyers can? I don't know. We could throw them into the politicians. Okay. Thank you. So you've got politicians, you have private industry. Why was Zuckerberg at the White House during COVID, And then you have musicians. So my question to musicians, because politics and private industry aside, they have their own agenda. My question to musicians is, how can we help shape this vibration? How do we use music to shape vibration? And so my question to anyone making music and using technology to do it, I would love to see less of this misogynistic music. It's tapping into our psyche. It's bringing us to a lower vibrational level for a population that's facing climate change, right? We've got a lot of big shit to worry about. And we're worried about the nonsense, like so much nonsense. And so, yeah, that was our question. And I got to learn a lot about music and a lot about indigenous beats and how those beats are important to infuse into our vibration because it's part of our DNA and part of our frequency. And if you believe in vibration, you believe in frequency, then actually music, and now as a result of technology, we have a real opportunity to not just make personal and professional change, but to actually change some real stuff around the world, because with technology now, there's no barriers to communicating. And so now we can get music from Uganda and Tanzania, and we can do that in all different languages. Swahili, whatever. If you're listening to Afro beats, you don't know what they're saying, but you like it. It finally crossed over as a result of technology. And so, I think that there's huge opportunity for creatives to take lead right now and use technology to do it.
Thank you.
Questions? Any questions? Sure. Give me 1 second.
Hello. My question to you is I see that you're well informed with AI, you love it. Where do you feel like regulation fits in with this new innovation and how it is just going to be a part of every industry? What is your take on regulation throughout?
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. That's my answer. It's coming. And it does need to be because of some of those concerns I stated. We're not going to self-police. It's like we're human, and we just, we don't like to follow rules, and that maybe that's a good thing. But regulation is coming, and I think it's for reasons that I stated, is that we can't let artificial intelligence actually guide us until it's smarter. So to be clear, AI is not that smart yet. Yeah, and so I think regulation is going to have to come. Yeah.
Do you feel like regulation should be coming in the hands of the government or through just
what you said? Yeah, the second part.
So not through the government.
No,
Yeah,
I think already there's private groups who have self-organized around this particular point, like around bias and data and that kind of thing. And I even think that there's a European kind of, if anybody knows here, I think that there's a European kind of faction that's organizing now in a large way. But these large AI organizations, in my world, there's AI for Good, which is for social entrepreneurship, social good, and how do we use AI for good. And so they're organizing in a pretty strong way. So I agree with you. I think government is probably going to get involved, sadly. But I think that it's better off in the hands of, organizations that can, or groups, or mandates that are keeping people safe. Because you can see that there's a lot of sci-fi movies. There's something to sci-fi. It's not totally made up. And so there are some sci-fi movies about AI. And what's the first thing that you train AI? Come on. you can't harm humans, right? The first rule is you can't harm humans, right? So before it gets too smart, there's going to have to be some regulation. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, how are you? I had a question about trends or like fads. So maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago, everyone was talking about NFTs, and we don't really talk about that anymore. So why do you think that could possibly happen in this area, or why wouldn't it happen?
No, I think it's impossible. So there's a framework, a theory. It's called the diffusion of innovation, and basically, what it says, you've probably all heard about this theory. It goes from like laggards to, it goes people who are late to the game, all the way up to innovators. You've heard this, right? Part of that theory, and a nuanced part of that theory, is that people are going to change if the alternative to what we've been doing is just so much better. NFTs isn't better than what we've been doing. That was a fad. It wasn't solving a problem. It was just like, how do I get something different than everybody else has and spend a ton of money? That is gonna fall away. AI solves problems. Like, it's solving problems every day. I made 5 videos. That's a huge problem solved. I don't have to hire somebody now. I can hire somebody for something else, And so I think AI is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. Actually, if it went anywhere now, people would be like, what, we can't work more efficiently? Why not? And so, it's out. It's out the station. It's gone. It's not going away. It's not like 8 tracks. Like, this is the technology of the future. So it's just here, and it's been promised since Orwell. Like, it's been promised for years, since the Jetsons. Like, all this stuff has been promised. Now it's just actually been delivered. Yeah. This was planned. This has been orchestrated.
Thank you, Dr. Danika. A round of applause, guys, please. And Miriam, thank you so much.